Right.
Number 6.
Second. Explosive. Then all that number 7, Emily. Okay, fine. Okay, that's cool. I can sort this out. Pot. As I sort this out, and I save this podcast. I'll try to. Give us your top 5 games of the generation. That's between November 2013 and November this year. Start writing them down. Everything. Right. Hello and welcome again to the Monkey Tail podcast. This is a special edition where we've lost 4 of our top 10 games of the generation. We've lost 4 of our top 10 games of the generation because Adam doesn't know how to join a room, and we had to change rooms. And this other room we're recording on, I had no sound coming from the guys, so you could only hear me. But I'll splice in the description. Actually, no, I'll have to do it now, and then we carry on. So today, what we're going to be doing is talking about the top 10 games of the generation. That's games that came out between November 2013 and November 2020 this year. Like I said, we lost unfortunately the first 4, so you never hear them. But essentially, my number 10 was Titanfall, 9 Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, 8 was Red Dead Redemption 2, and 7 was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Marius's was Until Dawn on number 10, Mortal Kombat 10 or X, Super Hot VR, and he was just talking about Keep Talking Nobody Explodes in number 7. And Adam had I Am Alive number 10, Batman Arkham Knight in number 9, Titanfall 2 in number 8, and in number 7 he had Halo the Master Chief Collection. We talked about it was great, but now we're gonna move on. So
shit happens.
And well, one of them you will hear later on, because one of the rules we do have is if the game is higher up in somebody's list, we talk about it only when we get there. So let's move over to number 6 now, guys. And my number 6 is Dead Cells. So Dead Cells. That really threw me, that losing the audio. I hate when that happens. Dead Cells. What's that to say? I love Dead Cells, as you guys know. I play this game to death. It's a roguelike. It's one of the best ones. I first played it at EGX, and Marius had to come and drag me off the boot because I wouldn't leave. I kept going in again. I'm like, yeah, I'm finishing the game today, please. I love roguelikes. There's been some great examples like Rogue Legacy and other games like that, but Dead Cells is up there as probably the best one of the lot, because it's the first one that really managed to capture an actual game where like Dark Souls, where each weapon actually is different and feels different when you use it, and you need to learn how to play with every weapon, because you literally you spec up weapons and the specs, as in either more health or more attack or more power to your weapon, to your like turrets and stuff like that, as you play the games. So you spec up as you play the game, and you don't know what you're gonna get. So it might be that you play the whole game and you don't get the spear you're good with. So you need to be good with every other weapon, so that you can, if that's what you get, that's what obviously you play with. And it's one of those games, whenever you die, obviously you start again, but you can't spend your cells on upgrading certain things, which make subsequent runs obviously easier. Also, unlike other games, is you have each level has like sometimes 2 or 3 different ending level exits. That's the word I'm looking for. So your path to the end could be different in every game, or from game to game. And if you find it hard going through the sewers, you can go to a different place, etc., and so on. I love it. I also love the art style. I think it's much a perfect game, hence why it's in my top 10 in number 6 position. So Adam, what's your number 6 game?
Number 6 is for Wolfenstein 2. the new Colossus, and I just love the Wolfenstein games. I think I've played them all, and I just picked this one because it was more recent than the others. They're all very, very good. It's very hard to pick my favourite out of them. It's just great gameplay. I love the idea. I love the mechanics of it and the weapons and the weapon wheel, and it all just works very nicely. And you go around shooting Nazis, and you have big dogs that have been cybered up with mechanics, and I just love the game. So I couldn't tell you that's the best of all the games that they've done. I didn't like Youngbloods, the new one that's come out, which is the online one. Didn't get on with that, but I think you've got to play that online collaborative. Can't say that, but with other people. And co-op, yeah, that's it. Yeah, play co-op.
Yeah,
I don't do a lot of that, so I didn't really buy into that one. But I just love the Wolfenstein. I think most people do.
I think Marius is a big fan. I'm sure. I'm sure of it.
I am a big fan. I'm very pleased to see this on your list, Adam. I think it's a great game. I just like it does. It's so stupid and ridiculous, but it just like it gets the tone so spot on. It like I think some of the things could have been like it could easily cross a line with some of the jokes and some of the but it just handles them so well that it gets away with it. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I think the end, right at the end as well, that there's a couple of hilarious bits in there. It's yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm very pleased to see it there. I think probably underrated overall, but I like.
Yeah, very good, very good. It's one of those. I would like to play it. It's just so many games, too many games.
Oh yeah,
too many games.
Yeah.
To play. Which is yeah. That's why I haven't played it yet. But maybe I'll give it a go on PC. I know that Marius lent me the game actually on PlayStation, and I actually never played it. I gave it back to him without even putting it on.
That's what happens when I lend you games.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you finished?
I don't lend them to you to play. I just lend you. I lend them to you so you can look at the box and then give it back.
It's keep safe. What's your number 6 game, Marius? Yourself, the number 6 game.
It's a very good question. Oh, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Which it's higher up on people's list. That was also my game that was in number 8 position, which you didn't hear because we lost the sound. So and we're too lazy to start again. We're not lazy. We just haven't got the time. We haven't got the time. Plus, hey, listen, top 6s are better.
Don't have the time, I'm afraid.
Top 6s are better anyway. Everyone prefers top 6s.
Yeah. No one else has done a top 6.
So there you go. We're doing a top 6.
Guarantee it. No one else has done a
top 6. No
one
will ever done a top 6. So there you go. We're the first. Number 5. I think this is the game, the second game on my list that Marius didn't put in his list because it's on mine. But I'm actually gonna I'm gonna call bullshit on this one. I don't understand how this is not on his list. But there you go. Mine is Resident Evil 2. Obviously the remake, not the one that came out in the 90s. The remake that came out in was it last year? Yeah, last year, 2019. Not many games you complete, and then when you finish the game, you go like, "Yep, let's start again with the other character." Let's start straight away, and that's the game. You know, I finished the game, and I'm like, roll. I think I played with the girl first. Forgetting her name now. Claire, and then I played with Leon straight away after I finished with her campaign. As far as remakes goes, this sets the level. The bar, that's the one. Any remake that wants to be put have the title of a great remake needs to be close to this, because if it's not, then it's not a great remake, because this is the high standard. They've changed the game completely, because obviously you had the tank controls, you had the fixed cameras on the first Resident Evil, and they changed it. They put more like the more modern Resident Evils, where you see behind the character. So they changed it completely into more of an action game. They changed some of the puzzles, or in fact all of the puzzles. They changed the story slightly, but not that much. But even though they changed all of this and obviously modern graphics and all of that, right? It felt like I was playing the original game, and it felt like I was playing the original game. Not really, but it had all the essence. It's like they just put all the ingredients together into a pan, and then they just reduced
Yeah, the
it
tone is spot on.
into the essence of Resident Evil. They even added a Nemesis type enemy to it, which was not on the first one at all, and it still worked. They just hit it's the perfect remake. And I love it. I think it's a great game. There you go.
Agree. Yes, I mean it absolutely is. I think it could easily have been on my list, and it could easily have been number one on my list. But as it happens, it didn't make it. It didn't make the cut this time. I think I was more interested to put things that were new, rather than
Yeah,
sort of
Adam, with your Master
reworks
Chief collection.
of different things. Yeah, and also I knew it was going to be on Bruno, so it gets its time in the limelight. But there were other games that I wanted to sing the praises of.
Very good. Yeah, I just think it's great. So Adam, what's your number 5 game?
Call of Duty. I've played various Call of Duties over the years. I used to buy them all, and then I realised I didn't want to pay that much money, and they come out so many months later after the price and stuff, so I do that now. But this one's Black Ops 2, and I think this was my first game that I played online as well. Majorly played. I spent hours and hours on it, and I remember a few weeks we played against the people at Baxley and Lloyd and yourself, Bruno, and stuff. And I'm sure this was I played with you on this. Either this or it was Battlefield, but I remember on a map spending hours trying to creep around the back of you and kill you, and I got you twice.
That was Battlefield 3. I was gonna say I've never played Black Ops 2. So but yes, Battlefield, which is higher on your list anyway.
Yes, different sort of, yeah. But yes, I enjoyed this game. Lovely weapons. Some of it was in the jungle as well as the buildings and stuff, so it just gave it a different way of dynamic sort of thing in the game of what to do and how to get around the water and stuff. It was just loved the game. Spent hours and hours on.
Yeah. Okay.
2025 is probably the highest. Hello.
Yeah, so I thought you might have lost you there for a bit. This is gonna be a nightmare to edit, by the way. I mean, if you get this podcast this year, you're lucky. Also, I don't know why. I don't know what's gonna make it, what's not gonna make it. I'm gonna have to shop and change things, and I'm gonna splice things. I might even add some new audio. It might be completely different. It might be a completely crazy podcast. However, I did say at on the part that you didn't hear, or maybe you did by the magic of editing, but Adam has special dispensation, and he's the only one allowed to put games that did not come out between the dates of November 13 and November 20, because Black Ops came out in 2012. No, I did not play the game with you. I never quite liked Black Ops, as it happens. Adam, I'm a big fan of Call of Duty. Don't get me wrong. I think Modern Warfare. Is a great game, both online and the campaign was just brilliant. Quite like Modern Warfare 2 as well, and some of the World War ones I quite liked. Black Ops 2, they started getting a bit silly. Not for me, but it's a very popular game, so I can see why it's obviously on your list in number 5 position there. Let's move on to Marius. Marius, what's your number 5 game?
Half-Life Alyx.
That is higher up on my list. It's also Abbas Pot that came in and saved the sound to give us his list, and that's higher up on his list as well. Okay, so we'll talk about it later on. Let's move over to number 4 now, guys. Right? I have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and Ben, which is not here, has that game as his game of the generation. So we'll talk about it at the end. Okay, that's okay. Or actually, but he's not here.
Just do it now. He's not here, so he doesn't get to do that.
There's many open world games in our lists. Everyone likes a good open world game. I have a few, more than I thought I would have. So maybe I do like open world games more than I thought. You know, there's a lot of them there. But what makes a good open world game is not only the everyone does open world games, right? So to make a good one, you need to stand out. And how does The Witcher stand out? It stand out by having a great fighting system, where if I'm gonna fight because you play a Witcher, you're a monster hunter, right? You're essentially, that's what you are. And demon hunter, monster hunter, you hunt a lot of different things, right? Witches, etc., and so on. And depending on who you're gonna fight, if you're gonna fight a vampire, for instance, you might have to use your silver sword, right? And or if you're gonna fight a specific type of demon, you might have to. Every fight, before you do it, you need to prepare for it. So you take some tonics depending on the fight you're gonna do. So there's that preparation for per fight. Also, as you play in the actual fighting is again, it's very intuitive, and the mechanics of it are make it feel like you're proper fighting, not just pressing A or B. So that's that part. So the fighting is great. Then there's the story. The story is fantastic. But more importantly, the side stories are great. Side stories on that game, if you decide to go as you do on an open world game, I'm gonna just pull this thread here, I'm gonna ignore the main story, and I'm gonna pull this thread of the side story. There was some side stories with like 1-2 hours long by the time you finish all the side quests for that story, and you didn't have to do that at all. That was not part of the. You could have finished the game without ever experiencing that. But it was extremely well written, all voice acted, very well voice acted. So the side stories on The Witcher are really well done. There was a particular one where there was this king, which he had a demon that was I think it was a demon or some sort of thing attacking his city, his kingdom, and there was because his wife or his girlfriend or whatever had a baby that was died before it came out, so the baby was haunting the thing. Yeah, it was and then you kind of had to like almost exorcise the baby, but then it was an illegitimate child. That was what it was. But anyway, the story was so good that was like a 2-hour quest, I think it was, and it was better than a lot of games, you know, like stories, just on that one side quest. Anyway, so that's that. So that's the other thing that makes a good open world game is the story. So combat is great, story is great, mini games is the other thing you look for in an open world game, and this one had the card game, which is Gwent, which later on came out as its own game, and that was great. You can go all the way to become Gwent champion. Horse racing has everything, you know, all the mini games you would want. And then the other one is scale. How big is it? How small is it? Right, depending on what you're looking for. And this is massive. Different areas that look do the different areas look different enough, or you know, and this one does. The more I talk about it, you think this game maybe should be higher on my list. Maybe, I don't know. Everything, and obviously certainly is on Ben's list. Everything that it tried to do, it pretty much nailed. And then there's a support, you know, like GTA on somebody's list somehow. It's so popular still. It's still on the top 10 today because of support, right? And the Witcher 3 certainly had the support from CD Projekt Red. The expansion packs, which I haven't played much of, but it was substantial. We're talking about 40-hour plus, expansion pack, where the story continues. So games like this always have bugs, but that support has been great throughout. Where if you play the game now, if you go play The Witcher 3 now, it's probably a different experience from playing The Witcher 3 when it first came out. But that just shows, what makes a good open world game is all of that, and that's why this one is so high up my list, and it's great. Fantastic. And I still think Marius would like it. Marius is scared of it, I think. Scared of how big it is. I think that's what it is.
Well,
I've never played it.
I haven't. You notice you've spoken a lot about open world games. There are no open world games on my list.
Incorrect.
Correct.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, Red Dead.
Ooh,
Sorry,
yeah.
yeah, Red Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's it. No,
Yeah.
no others. There are very few. Just it's just the time thing. It just.
I agree. And
I very much, I definitely prefer small games that you can play for a long time. There are some games that, like Tony Hawk's, have been speaking about that a lot this year. It's not on this list, but like it doesn't take long to finish that game. You can do it in a few hours. But I can put 100 hours into it, no problem. That's sort of what I prefer rather than the massive open world stuff. Sometimes I just feel it feels like too much like work for me. Sometimes open world games.
I agree, and I'm a fan of the shorter game. Obviously, the listener wouldn't have heard, but Titanfall 2 we talked about because it was on the part of the show you didn't hear. But that was a nice 6-7 hour campaign. I'm with you. Looking at my list, I have obviously we talked about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. We didn't because you didn't hear, listener, but we did. It was number 7 in my list. Obviously, you guys have Red Dead Redemption on your list, and Adam in particular likes his open world games as well, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it is a time sink, and
Yeah.
and that's why some of them I just don't finish, but I still can appreciate them for how good they are. And The Witcher is a great example of it. Moving on to Adam, what's your number 4 game, Adam?
Battlefield 3.
Battlefield 3. It came out in 2011. This is the one you played against.
Yes. Yes, I can't believe it's that far ago. I really can't. I look at some of these dates and I'm sure I got that when it was new, but I can't believe it was that long ago. That is scary. But yeah.
Adam did indeed stab me a couple times in the back. I do remember that. The reason he did so is because one of my favorite things on Battlefield was if you stab somebody from the back, you'd get that name tag, and then you have a list of all the name tags you collected. More specifically, if you collected the name tag more than once, you would have that name tag times whatever, yeah? So I had Lloydie, I had Carey, I had like on multiple numbers, and they fucking hated me for that, because I was like, stick. But Adam, being the true gamer he is, said, no. I say, no, I'm gonna fucking stab you as well. And in prone position, staying away from my sniper rifle, because, I'm lethal with one of those bad boys, he somehow managed to go around enemy lines, through mud, through grass, just so he could stab me in the back, and then die immediately by somebody else killing him. But
that doesn't matter.
That does not matter. That does not matter at all. I completely agree. Battlefield was a lot of fun. Battlefield 3. I actually, you didn't play with us, Adam, because that's, as you said, that was your first foray into online gaming. Yeah. But Bad Company 2, it came before that, was even better. Yeah. I think that was the one where we talked about it in the podcast many moons ago, where Lloydie literally in one game quit out of the game, unfriended me, didn't touch me for a week, because playing on the same team and I was playing a medic, I kept reviving him as he kept getting sniped. I revived him, he got sniped. Revive him, he got sniped. seven times until he closed his account with Xbox and never played again. Fucking awesome. Unfortunately, on Battlefield 3, the one we're talking about here, you could say yes or no to being revived, which is, come on.
Which is a shame.
Who doesn't want to be revived? Why are you asking? Obviously, somebody that keeps getting sniped around the corner. It's almost like me and the sniper. We had a connection, a mind connection. We're like, come on, I'll keep doing it. You keep shooting him, yeah. It was almost like the sniper was saying, "Pull," and I'm like, "Here we go, pull," and they kept shooting the discs. It was fucking awesome. Yeah, but Battlefield 3, great game. Campaign, I don't remember the campaign if it was good.
No, I don't.
But certainly the online multiplayer was brilliant, and what I'll say about it is they don't make them like they used to anymore. So some of those games, there's not been any online game and I play a lot of PUBG and other games like that. There's not been any which was as much fun as Battlefield 3 for me anyway. I thought it was great, and it's a great inclusion on your top five there,
Cool.
Adam, for sure. Right, Marius, your number 4
is The Last of Us Part 2.
Part duh. This is the first of the games where we well, not the second as it happens, because you had Half-Life Alex before that. The first of the games we did talk about this. Should we do the game of the generation before the game of the year, because it's gonna spoil game of the year? We in the end we said, well, let's do it anyway. So we haven't talked about it other than when we first played it in terms of where does it fit into a top 5 game of anything. You have it here, which I'm assuming is a sneak preview that's gonna probably be on your on the top 5 of the year, I would imagine. Yeah, well, tell us about it. It's on your top then.
I mean, look, in short, this game is an absolute masterpiece. They've just improved on so much from the last one. This is Naughty Dog just at the top of their game. I mean, firstly, how? I don't understand how this has been possible. This is running. I played it on my standard launch day edition PlayStation 4, and I would have been happy if I'd bought a PlayStation 5 and loaded this game up looking like this. How they've managed to get all the graphics in there into my eyes through the PlayStation 4 is just phenomenal. And like, there's basically no loading times or anything in there. It's just off you go. It's just phenomenal. Again, I think the sound as well works really well with that. The sound mix is done really well. The story is fantastic. A lot of people have complained about the story because it just does things that they don't like. But for me, that's what's good about the story, is that it challenges things. That they haven't just gone down the easy road of the story. They put some very challenging things that happen in there. They play around with the player's expectation a lot. I think the world building is absolutely just spot on. This is one of the few games where if I find a note, this and Resident Evil, like, I actually read all of the shit that you pick up. This much more so than Resident Evil. Like, everything is interesting and sort of plays a part in building up the story. Yeah, it's just this game is close to perfect. I think there are some issues with it. Like, there's a lot of picking stuff up, like resources and stuff like that. There is a lot of just walking around picking stuff up once you've cleared a room. And there's a hell of a lot of opening doors, which again, that's part of the loading thing they use to hide loads. So you have to open doors an awful lot. But it's just, yeah, it's just so well put together. Yeah, I could talk about it for a long time, but we don't have that amount of time.
With these top 10s, whenever we do top 10s, and back when we did our top 5 of the year in 2018, Assassin's Creed was not my top 5 because I hadn't played it, and I even started playing it, and certain games, you know, I played a lot of this game and I didn't finish it, and the reason for I didn't finish it is partly the game's fault, but partly mostly my fault. I was playing the game on the hardest difficulty, and I hit a wall where I died 5-6 times in a row, and I'm like, I haven't got time for this. Then maybe I left it for like a few days, went back again, probably died again. I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, I'm gonna play something else, and then it kind of like gets forgotten. To that I say, and I've said this before, I really would like games not to have difficulty levels, like Dark Souls does, like other games. Yeah, this is the game. I know difficulty levels are there for if somebody cannot go through, you can make it easier. Or if somebody finds it too easy, you make it harder. I know it's there as an accessibility thing. I'm completely against it. I think they should be completely taken off, and games should be like, this is how we present the story, and this is how we want the story to be played. I don't think obviously didn't have the ability. Obviously, I can definitely beat that boss if I keep trying, but I obviously didn't have the ability to do it. So obviously the calibration of the difficulty was not quite right for me. And with the game with so much story, you don't want to keep repeating the same the story beat. If you keep into...
but yeah, I absolutely agree. But yeah, that's on you. You've gone straight in and played it on the hardest difficulty.
And this is what I said.
Yeah, I know that.
I said
I'm just
my fault.
reiterating because people need to know that it's your fault.
Yeah.
It
is my fault.
So
I started by saying it's my fault.
Playing it on either the like normal or even the easy setting is the right way to play that game. In my opinion, it's about the story and the experience, not necessarily about the.
And I agree. And this is a promise, not a maybe, not a will. I will finish the game, even if I have to lower the even if I have to, even if I have to lower the difficulty. I will finish the game before we do the Game of the Year podcast, and the game may or may not enter my top 5.
Despite the difficulty comments there, I can understand why some people don't get to the end of the game. It is quite a long game. I think that is one of my complaints with it. It probably went on a little bit too long for my liking. And it follows the Lord of the Rings approach to endings. And yes, that was a plural endings, because I think there are about 3 or 4 separate places where I'm like, it could have ended here, and it sort of carried on.
Absolutely, and that was my next thing. I'm quite far into the game. I think you know which part I'm stuck in. I think I told you before which part I'm.
You probably did. I can't remember.
Let's just say I'm playing with a character, and I've gone to collect some medicine.
You've got a bit to go, but yeah.
Yeah. What I do like is that it challenges, like you said, it challenges you by changing your expectations of what the game is going to be. And what I would say as well, I played some games this year, and more when it comes to the Game of the Year podcast on that. But this year there's been a lot of games that are great with a lot of bugs, and I don't remember seeing one bug on the game. So this and the reason you asked how to do that, Marius, is very simple. With all the money, that's how they did it. By the way, that's how you make it. That's why Bioshock Infinite was great, because they spent 100 million plus on the game. When you spend a big budget on certain games, and you keep them within the story, so you don't make them open world, you keep them like within on rails, so to speak. Where that's how you make the game.
Yeah, I know, but other games do all of those things and still don't look anything like this.
Yeah. But like you said, it's Naughty Dog at top of that game, right?
It is, absolutely.
A great game, to be fair. And I do promise, I'll promise, and this is a promise, I will finish the game, even if I have to lower the difficulty and finish the game and we'll talk about
I would say not even, just lower the difficulty, Bruno.
Okay.
Next time you load it up, just lower the difficulty straight away.
Straight away, yeah, back to normal and then finish the game. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, I'll do that. So that's The Last of Us Part 2 in number 4. Okay, we're getting to the meat of things now. Top 3. This podcast has been long, even though it's probably not that long, because I'm going to have to edit it. My number 3 game, and I'm not gonna go too much on it. It's an open world game. It's Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Now, this is an open world game, Marius. It is an open world game, but is it though?
Yes.
But
it's about as open world as you can fucking get, to be honest.
You get dropped into a zone, and then you have that zone there. You know what I mean? It's when you go to do a mission, you get dropped into a zone, and
I don't even know why you're trying to argue that it's not. It's
ridiculous. Why is it? I talked about it with The Witcher, and I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna just reiterate on that, even though I am gonna change that at the end, almost. Well, not really. It's the mechanics. It's the story. Yeah, this not so much on side stories on this one, but the mechanics on this are great. Creating your army by using the futon thing of capturing enemies is great. the fact that you can take a mission by either stealth or go guns blazing, or coming in a helicopter and just start shooting things up, or there's so many different ways, or coming in the 4x4, put some C4 onto it, throw the 4x4 into the middle of the thing and explode. It's a game where you're having fun and you can do it whichever way you want to play the game. But on top of that, you have what I think personally is a great story, because I am that type of fanboy that would just hit up anything that Kojima does. Apart from Death Stranding, I didn't like Death Stranding that much. Kojima does, and even though I don't really understand the story completely, I do. I do. Tell me this, Marius. There's a Metal Gear movie coming up, right?
Yes.
You heard about that? Yeah.
Yes, I have.
But sometimes when certain websites are talking about that movie, they use this as a Metal Gear with Solid Snake, right? But then they show Big Boss, artwork.
Look,
is that because people are stupid?
You can't pretend the story is clever or well written in any Metal Gear game. It's a convoluted mess of absolute nonsense,
which is great.
But that's what makes it so endearing. And I have to say, that's one of the reasons this didn't get on my list. Is actually, I think this is, in terms of story, this is about the weakest of all the Metal Gear games for me. I much prefer the previous ones in terms of the story. I like getting interrupted in a Metal Gear game anyway. I like getting interrupted with ridiculously long cutscenes throughout the game, and this was more bookended at the start and the end, really, with stupidly long cutscenes. But yeah, the mechanics and everything are brilliant. It also got dropped down a bit for me because it is so open world and not as focused as it could be. But again, I think if I had the time and I went back and replayed that and it reminded me of how good, because some of the things you said, I'm like, yeah, I'd sort of forgotten how much fun it was. It could easily.
You have a box which you can put the girl on the box, and it distracts the guard because he thinks that's a girl there. You know what I mean? Your horse
hiding on the side of the horse as well.
If your horse shits, the guards can fall onto it, and other stuff like that. It's, come on, it's ridiculous, but I love it, and I unapologetically put it as my top 3 game of the generation.
Quite
unapologetic.
Right. It deserves its place there, I think.
So, is it the number 3 best game? Probably not, but it's there because I don't have to apologize for it. I love it. Number 3, Adam. What's your number 3?
Fallout 4. Now, this was my first Fallout I ever played. I went to, it was just before me, I think my first or my second 24 Gameathon, and I went into the game, one of the local shops, and said, I want a game I'm going to be lost in. And they went, without a moment's hesitation, Fallout 4. And I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Open world, one of them again. Struggled to start with because I didn't know what I was doing. Didn't read any of the tutorials and stuff, and just wandered around and ate and shot at so many times, sort of thing. But you get the gist of the story. You got to shoot the baddies and look after the goodies, and it was really, really good. You walk around in, you find a power suit. You think, oh great, my troubles are over. Then you run out of power, so you have to go and find the power cells. Just very good gameplay. I loved it, and I played it all the way through. Finished the game, loved it. Tried.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
Go ahead.
Okay. Tried other versions. Tried 76, Fallout 76. Didn't get on with that. And you suggested Fallout Las Vegas, was it?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yes. I've played that a couple of hours and haven't sort of been bitten with it. The same bug as the Fallout 4. I'll go back to it. Still got it.
That's a surprise.
But yeah.
I'm trying to find the name of it here because as you were talking, I was trying to find the game because I'm here we go. I got the name there. So Fallout. First of all, yeah, I love Fallout 4 as well. Not my top 10, but certainly a game I spent a lot of hours into. My brother is a massive fan of it. He's got like something stupid like 3,000 hours or something on it, something ridiculous. It's finished the game in every way, shape, or form you can do. And I know a friend of the show, Aristo, has played the game a lot as well. Anyway, so for Christmas, last Christmas, I gave my brother The Outer Worlds, which, by the way, is what I'm recommending you go and play. Okay, I'm recommending you go and play that. Like,
I've downloaded it, haven't played it yet.
Stat. It's on Game Pass anyway.
Yes, yeah. Outer Worlds.
So
I'm writing it down.
It's a shorter game, than Fallout. Anyway, so my brother, after a few months, I asked him, "So how are you getting along with Outer Worlds?" Like, yeah, not as good as Fallout. Sorry, it's not as good. Sorry, I didn't like as much as Fallout. Sorry. I'm like, oh, so you didn't finish it? Oh no, I finished it 4 times. So finished the game 4 times. So so there you go. It's good enough to finish 4 times, but a bit rubbish. There you go. That's brotherly love for you. You would love for that one. Okay, so yeah, play that. You like it.
Thank you.
New Vegas. If he hasn't beaten you, I'm almost now on that point. Like you played 2 hours of it, right?
Yeah.
If he hasn't grabbed you, just leave it. Fuck it.
Okay.
What I'll say about it though is he didn't grab me as well when I played it originally.
Yeah.
On the 360, and then I went back to it on PC, I think, and I kind of like powered through it. And then when you get to the actual first big city, and you start doing some of the side quests and all of that, and then the story gets really good and it really grabbed me, and then I played the whole thing and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So he didn't grab me as well straight away, but I'm also at that point there. Games, so many games that if it doesn't grab you, just move on to the next thing. If it doesn't grab you,
that's the trouble. I
don't
want to miss out on a good game though. I've played so many good games because you guys have said it's worth playing. I haven't uninstalled it because I keep thinking, when I have a couple more hours, I'm still wandering around a little village at the start, and I know there's so much more to the game, but you've got to complete it before you get on. And I'm thinking, I just want to get out there and find out what I need to do.
And that's the problem with games is how do they onboard you? Yeah, and some games really struggle to onboard players. Other games do it really well. I mean, we talked about it with Far Cry 3 just does it really well. Just the way they just that first mission, you just want more of it. And other games do it well. Some games don't do it as well. Final Fantasy VIII, I remember for the first 2 hours, I'm like, nope, I don't want to play High School Simulator. And then saw what the game really became only afterwards when I saw somebody else playing the game. But yeah, some games need to be better. I promise you, Fallout New Vegas is the best Fallout. I can promise you that it is the best Fallout to me. But even better than 3, which I love. But yeah, you need to go through it at the same time. Yeah, too many games. Right, let's move over to the business end. I have a Half-Life Alyx as my number 2 game of the generation. Mario said that as number 5.
Guys, I'm just going to drop off for 2 minutes. I'll be back in a second.
Oh, I have missed something.
Yeah. How about my number 3?
Sorry. Yeah, Resogun. I didn't see it. Apologies. Number 3.
Guys, I've got to drop off. I'll be back in a minute.
No problem. No
problem. So yeah, Resogun. Which, well, let's put it this way. At the time of starting this podcast, it was in number 1. It has actually moved down to 3rd place.
We sneak peek moved it. I didn't see you moving it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's changed. So I loved this game, obviously enough that it could almost have been my number 1. So this was this I think is the greatest launch game of all time. It launched with the the PS4. I knew you'd like that comment. That was said specifically to get that sort of reaction. I can see.
Absolute rubbish.
I mean, it is.
Well, I'll tell you why it isn't in a bit.
look, this game is absolutely phenomenal. It's perfect for me. Like I said earlier, it's a short game, only takes a few hours to get to the end, but to master it requires a lot of effort. There's a lot of like little things going on, a lot of mechanics in there in terms of saving the humans and how to unlock that. I think to me it demonstrated what the next gen could do in terms of the visuals and stuff, and the voxels and all the explosions and things going on there. Put a lot of time into that. One of the most tricky platinums I've ever done, I think. And again, I put enough time and effort into that game that I became actually genuinely pretty good at it. I think I was getting scores in the sort of top 100 on that game, and I went back to it several times. I think the reason it didn't get any further up the list because it is one of those for me to make like I can't come back to that after any time off. If I went back and loaded up that game again now, it would be like I was playing it for the first time again, almost. It's one of those that you have to keep your skills up, and you really have to keep going to maintain that um, the skill set there. But love that game, absolutely perfect game for me. It was like one of those that felt like it was designed for me.
Oh,
Yes, and apologies for skipping it. It wasn't on purpose. I actually quite like Resogun. I think Resogun is a fun game. Right. So moving on to number 2 then. Now I have Half-Life Alyx, which like I alluded, you had it on
It was
5.
my number 5. Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. The game. I mean, we did a spoiler cast about it. We talk about it. I think it's the best VR game ever made. I think without much.
There is no question of that. There, I don't think anyone can argue that isn't true.
So it's the best VR game, best looking VR game as well, best story in a VR game. But then I started thinking about it. Would the game be good without the VR? And the answer is it wouldn't be as good. Of course not. But I still think it would be a good game. It's a good story, and I still would have enjoyed playing that campaign in traditional ways with the monitor. I think I still would have enjoyed it. Obviously, it's hard to say because I didn't play it like that, right? But I loved it. I'm talking about the achievements in VR. While we're talking about when we were talking about Superhot VR, which you guys wouldn't have heard because that part of the was before.
never know.
It was before. We're talking about achievements in VR, and there was one in particular where I finished this section, killing a few enemies, etc. And then I had to go into a house, I think, or that was where the game was like hurting me to go towards, and I'm like, I just put my hand in the window and looked up, like, anyone here? Like, just making sure that there was no enemies, and I got an achievement for picking in. So literally, I was like literally in my living room, leaning in, looking around, to see if there was any enemies inside, and again, I mean, I know you can obviously pick in some games, but that physicality of doing it yourself.
I mean, it's great that you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But I just want to clarify that achievement doesn't exist.
It does. What do you mean it doesn't?
It doesn't exist.
You want to bet?
Yeah, I've been playing through it again. I'm playing through it with the commentary on, and I was looking at an achievement guide in order to see what achievements I had and potentially picking up some new achievements. There is not an achievement for poking your head through a window.
Okay, I'll get you the name of the achievement, and then I shall tell you what it's called. Okay, it 100% exists because I got it. But anyway, I like the fact that with the gunplay is great because obviously it's a VR game, so you have that one-to-one, like aim, etc. But if you have what's it called? The cartridge the cartridge.
Shotgun.
No, the
Shotgun?
No, the
magazine.
Magazine, that's the one. If you have a magazine in with say 10 bullets, and then you shoot 8, and then there's more aliens coming over, you can just obviously press the button, drops the magazine, and you put a new one in. But you haven't got 12 bullets all of a sudden. You only got 10 because your other magazine that had 2 is still on the floor. So many times, because obviously ammo was scarce, scarce, I would then shoot and then be looking to the round, and you can see, because in VR you can see how many bullets are still inside the cartridge. I'm like, that one is 3 still. Then you like jump to the floor, grab the other one, and just put it in the gun, and then use the final 3 that was on that particular magazine. That was really clever. Something you can only really do in VR. That would not, that you could not make that in the game. Yes, you can make it in the game where if you drop your magazine, it comes with the bullets, but you cannot really do the thing of, shit, the alien's coming to me. Let me look back at that magazine on the floor and literally, as I'm looking at it, count how many bullets are inside that magazine, so I can just grab that. That experience can only be achieved in VR, and it was great. And there was many other things like that. Was 3D puzzles where you literally manipulating orbs and things and lasers and stuff, like just in real time, to solve puzzles. That was the storytelling from when you can actually when you actually part of the cutscene, you're actually looking at the person talking to you, and the person is looking at your eyes and talking to you. It just there's not been anything like it, really. It's a great example, and I just love it. Yeah. So Marius, what do you think? What do you think? You obviously like it enough.
All of the above. Yeah, I absolutely love this game. Again, could easily have been in a number 1 spot here. Could have gone a lot higher on the list.
Yeah.
It's just so well made. This is Valve sort of showing everybody how to do VR. So I think the reason I put Last of Us 2 higher than this, I think, like say, Last of Us is years of game making and learning how to make games well, what works well, what doesn't, and it's some masters of doing that at the top of their game. Whereas Half-Life Alyx is more like it's the Mario 64 of VR. This is someone showing, look, this is how we can do it. We've worked out the basics. Now let's see what everyone else can do. I really can't wait to see the knock-on effect from Half-Life Alyx. I hope some more people start making more games using some of the techniques that Valve have used. And yeah, just the presence, it just makes so much more. It really plays up to the strengths of VR. And like playing it through again, listening to the commentary is really interesting. Seeing some of the things that they do, like the reasons things are included in that game. Like you say, it would be different if you're playing it through on a flat screen, because like they say that people in VR like love to just like look for shit on the shelves and stuff like that, because it's fun. That interaction is interesting. Whereas, like I pointed out in Last of Us 2, not so interesting, just pressing a button to do that. And yeah, it's just an absolutely phenomenal game.
So I've just checked the achievements, and I think we might have a bit of confusion going on here, and that's
might be confused,
and that's partly my fault, but partly you're gonna see why it's not as well.
Really?
So the achievement is called checking in, and you get it when you finish chapter 4, and I finished chapter 4 by looking through the window in. Yes. So I got the checking in achievement. So you can see why I would perceive that as being a checking in achievement if it's called checking in.
Yes,
and I'm looking
through
the window.
I can understand that, but yes.
So there you go. But that's why the confusion is. But anyway, I still loved it. I thought it was getting achievement for checking in first.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently it was for finishing chapter 4. But I did get it by looking through the window. But the mere fact that you can look through the window and see if there's anyone in is great, right?
Yeah.
And then there's Jeff as well. Jeff was great.
Jeff is fantastic. Like the way and like just like the way you can knock out windows, like when you break the glass, you can just like literally hit it. I think that's the thing that they've done better than any other VR game, is the presence there. Like when you put your hand against the wall, the hand changes, it stops, and like it feels like you're touching things, like picking up the barrels, which you have to do with both hands. It's sort of as close as they can. It really gives that impression that you're picking up something heavy, whereas normally in most VR games, like picking up one thing you could picking up an elephant compared with picking up a phone. There's no difference to it. Whereas this, it really it really does a great job of that physical presence in VR.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and there's many other things like that, but we talked about a few, but there's literally countless Easter eggs and other things throughout as well, where like wow. And the first time I played it, you come into the balcony and then you see the city and you see the walker thing, like walking in the distance, and you see all of that, and you were like wow. I just went like wow, City 17, right? Just looked great. I was well impressed by that game, and this could have easily been my game of the generation. Right, just let's finish this up then. Well, nearly there. Grand Theft Auto. Sorry, not. What's your number 2? Grand Theft Auto 5, apparently.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
This one misses the cut just by a whisker. I mean, nearly, yeah. I think it came out in September, and but we allow it. We have the special dispensation.
Thank you very much, and I do appreciate that. But
is it there because of the online or because of the single player?
I've never played online.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, never played online. I don't online very often. So just that. And I will add to this that I only brought it either last year or the year before. I only recently brought it. I heard everybody saying how wonderful it was, and it's top 10 games ever since it's been launched. Since night. I don't know. When did it start then, Brenner?
It came out in 2013, and it's been on the top 10 ever since. Pretty much.
And it's just, if nobody's played it, get it. There's such big copies going around.
There can't be anybody left who hasn't played the game. Sure, I think people that haven't got consoles have played this
game. The game made it back in 2013 when we did a top 5 of the year. Then that game made it into my top 10, my top 5 as because of the single play campaign alone. In fact, I think he made it to top 5s of Marius as well at the time. I think he had Last of Us higher, but he was on the top 5 anyway. So I think mine was swapped. I had Last of Us and then I had the one higher. But the online is also a lot of fun. I've spent many hours online. I own this game on a few different platforms, and that's why I'm part of the problem. But I like the changing aspect, the perspective from sometimes even within the same mission, changing between the 3 main characters.
That's right, yeah.
As you do the mission, that's awesome. You could have one sniping and then the other one sneaking in, and then it's Trevor. Yeah, what more can be said?
Yeah, there is Trevor. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Trevor is one of the best video game characters ever created.
Yes. Love it. I think last time I played it, you said, "Oh, what happened in it?" I said, "Well, Trevor woke up. It started as a cutscene, and Trevor woke up. Just in his boxer shorts, I think it was, leaning on the balcony in the middle of nowhere, sort of, just in the middle of town, just woke up from a drunken stupor. I'm like, it's just Trevor."
One time I went up to him and he woke up and he was in the pink dress, in the middle.
Yeah.
So that's just Trevor. Trevor's Trevor. Gotta love it. Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say about Grand Theft Auto. It's a great game. Had it come out this generation, it might have been on my top 10 and on Marius's top 10. I would venture a guess. To be fair, I think maybe not Marius's, but definitely be on mine for sure as well.
Maybe we'll see a 6.
GTA 6. What do you mean maybe? Yes,
absolutely. Yeah,
100%. They makes too much money not to make it in. Right, let's go to the end now. Mine is my number 1 game is
whoa. This is fucking 2 in a row now. What the fuck do you think you're trying to pull?
Fine, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Cuphead.
Yay.
I just like. I mean, firstly, you've got the visuals there. I mean, there is no game that looks like, or indeed sounds like, Cuphead. It is absolutely unique in terms of the way it looks. That sort of 1930s cartoon style, and just again, it's my sort of thing. It's that the art of mastering it. It's something that's really difficult. It's a really tough game, and the only way that you can finish that game is by getting good at it, is by that repetition and sort of just sticking at it and learning it, getting pixel perfect and being able to pull off what you're trying to do, and that having to sort of repeat that and just build your skill as you go through the level, and the sense of achievement in actually beating one of the bosses on that level, on that game, it is just phenomenal. It's just so challenging, but so rewarding when you actually successfully beat one of those challenges.
People say that Souls games are difficult. Oh, Dark Souls is a difficult game. Dark Souls is
They're
not
so
difficult.
wrong. It's bollocks.
Dark Souls
Yeah.
is not difficult at all. Dark Souls, it's. I mean, like any game, it's learning the mechanics and learning to parry. That's how you beat Dark Souls. You learn to parry, and you're good to go. People beat the game without even upgrading anything. And yes, Dark Souls, you know, if you don't respect the enemies, they'll fuck you up. Cuphead is by far the hardest game I've ever played. Cuphead is what difficult game is, and too difficult for me. I have not got the skill. I couldn't beat the second island. I think I beat maybe one or maybe two bosses on the second island. That's about it. I couldn't get past. That was like 3 you could have gone for, and all of them were difficult. One of them was too hard. I'm like, okay, let me go for the other one. It's even fucking harder. And okay, let me try the third one. Oh, this one is ridiculous. So it's just and it's one of those. It makes it feel like, oh, it's unfair. That's unfair. But then you play it again and again. I'm like, no, they do the same every time. I'm just stupid. I'm just being stupid. You know?
Yeah, that's actually a really really good point. That's why it works so well, because it could have been frustrating and annoying, but it's not, because it is completely and utterly fair. If you die, it's because you weren't good enough. End
That's it.
of.
That's it.
It's
Yeah.
not because the game did something wrong, or it didn't quite recognize your input or something like that. It's absolutely spot on from the game's point of view. Yeah.
I agree. Love it, but yeah, hard for me. Yeah, great game. Let's move over now to our top 1 games then. Mine is no surprise here. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. It is an open world game. We did talk about what makes a good open world game, and this one has what it has in spades is the mechanics. More than any of the other games I talked about until now on open world games, this one has the best mechanics that make it a great game. And he also talked about onboarding onto games. This one is great onboarding because it just onboards you onto this floating island, and it kind of like quickly takes you through the 4 different dungeons. So it's teaching you about dungeons, teaching you about completing challenge rooms, and giving you a power that you require to complete that challenge room. Normally, in a typical Zelda game, you would play a big dungeon, and then at the end of it, you would get a power up that you can then use on subsequent dungeons, but you can also go back in other dungeons and do it. That's how typical Zelda games have been. But this one does all of it in the first 2 hours of the game. Teaches you about everything on a tutorial that's kind of holding your hand, but you need it, because then once you have these 4 different powers, then you can jump off this island and even to the open world proper. And then if you want, you can just go straight for the boss and beat the game, and that's it. You're good to go. And many people have done that. Or you can go and explore the world and do challenge rooms and dungeons. You can go and there's 4 big dungeons which you gain the power of the gods to help you fight the final boss. Essentially, each of them takes 25% of the armor of this boss. So if you get all 4, essentially when you fight the boss, he loses the armor and you only have to take one of his bars of life instead. But the mechanics are great. Like I said, the weapons break. People hate that the weapons break. I think it's a great thing. It forces you not to get too comfortable with. Like I remember what I was talking about Dead Cells, about you have to learn how to play with every weapon. This kind of forces you to do that in a way, because I'm really good with this particular weapon. After you use it for a certain bit amount of bit, it breaks, and then you have to move on to the next one or something else. So I love the fact that it keeps you on your toes by doing that. And there's a stamina meter. You can, anywhere you look in the game, you can go, providing you got the stamina to get there. And that's like real life, yes, you see a mountain, any person can go up a mountain, but then you run out of steam. You either have to stop and then go again, or you go like, nope, too much, I'm going to go down again, right? That's real life. And that's what on this game, what you have is you can go as far as you can go, but only if you have the stamina to do so. So obviously you can upgrade the stamina by throughout the game by completing parts of the game, or you don't have to. It's great. You can just use other things like power ups and stuff like that instead, or a different path, so the exploration, it's like any good open world game, it rewards you for exploring. So you can go up a mountain. It's gonna take me half an hour to get up that mountain, because with the stamina I have, and I have to go around, and then I have to jump into here, and I have to go to a river, and then you're like, is it worth it? And it's always worth it. Always, every time you get to a secluded area, it was always worth the time invested, because it just rewards you for exploring the game. There's a particular island in the game where they take all your powers away. Or take you some of your powers away, but make you essentially play without your training wheels you've been gathering throughout the game. When you get to this island, they take away the training wheels, and I'm like, no, you need to use really use the game mechanics to beat this island, and that's great. It's just there's a million and one stories. Everyone that talked about that, you can get defeat these squid like animals that they drop like these balloons, which is their stomach, and you can blow it up into a balloon, and you can literally make a raft into an aircraft by putting one in each corner, for instance, and then you use a leaf to like as you find the leaf, it kind of like propels you in the air. And there's nothing in the game showing you how to do that. You just through imagination. You can and there's other things like that you can do. Just through sheer imagination, you can solve puzzles. There's certain puzzles which are magnetic or not magnetic, like electricity puzzles, and then you have to manipulate different structures in such a way that creates a circuit, for instance. But another way to do it is you got lots of weapons in your inventory that they break. Remember, you can just drop a couple of them down, metal ones, and just use your metal weapons instead. And you're thinking, am I cheating the game? No, I'm playing the game the way I want to play it, and the game is allowing me to do so. That's Zelda Breath of the Wild, and that's the best game of the for me.
Wow.
Just brilliant.
Okay.
I mean,
Cool.
when you get to number one, that's when you get the brilliant games, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes.
That's why that's the best. What's your number one, Adam?
RD2, Red Dead Redemption 2. Excellent game. I played the first one only a bit, didn't get into it, but I was worried about this new one being hyped up too much. But no, it lived up to itself. It was absolutely brilliant in lots of different ways. So open world. Quite often I'd stop and wander off the track just to look at the scenery and look at the waterfall and look at the animals walking around us. It was just an awesome game. Loads of different types of missions. You shoot people, you go hunting for animals. I didn't quite particularly like the skinning of the animals much, but it's all part of the game. You have to collect things, you have to mix potions and collect stuff and talk to the Indians and lots of different things. Just very, very good. And then fast travel. I think I was playing it for a long time, and I heard one of you guys say, fast travel, and I went, what's that? Oh, that saved me hours.
Yeah. I told this story before in the podcast, but you know that Carrie, formerly of this parish, played more than half of Fallout 3 without knowing you had a lantern on your Pip-Boy. You could turn the light.
Yeah.
You didn't know. Then he heard
It's all in
he heard me about turning the Pip-Boy on as a flashlight. He goes like, flashlight? He's been going through the dungeon. He's been going through caves like in the dark, trying to find his way out, not knowing he could do that. So there you go. Fast travel is not as bad as not being able to illuminate your path.
But to be fair, it's a long way into that game before fast travel unlocks as well.
Mm.
It just takes you
okay.
got a lot of time in before
Yeah.
you actually get fast travel. And I seem to remember, I think there's quite a bit of stuff that you had to do to physically unlock it as well. I can't quite remember. But yeah, look, Red Dead I think was a phenomenal game. Again, it's a bit like Last of Us. This is Rockstar at their absolute best, I think. Again, the world building is brilliant. You really feel like you're there in the Wild West. I think the characters are some of the best characters that Rockstar have done, bar Trevor, obviously. But like I do think the characters are brilliant. I think the story is good. It's you know, the way that it ends as well is quite. I think is done quite well. I think my biggest complaint is, again, like we've already mentioned a bit about the open world things. I think it's a bit too big and bloated for me, and I'm not even talking about the side missions. I think if you just mainline it and just do the main story missions, I think it is a bit too long. I think they getting the editing tool out a little bit might have done it some favors. I think it perhaps went on a little bit too long. But
it's
what a journey! It is great,
and I mean, it must be a good game because obviously it's the only game which we all have in our list, and it's the only open world game that Marius has on his list. So I mean, it obviously ticks a few boxes. There's something wrong with people when it comes to length and what they think length is acceptable. I am talking about the length of the game. Not what you think.
Yeah, complaints, have you?
Yes, many. I'm playing Cyberpunk. I'm playing Cyberpunk at the moment. And more on that maybe. Here, see if it makes it anywhere near the top 5. But one of the complaints that I've heard is that the main story, Bruno, is too short. I think 11, 12 hours in. I've done hardly any side missions. I think maybe I've done 2 side missions. Everything else has been main mission. And I'm nowhere near the end of the game. I'm like, I don't know what you mean by short. Is 20 hours short for an open world game? You know, what is short? You know, like to me, a short campaign is half an hour. That's short, maybe. You know?
Yeah, I mean, according to How Long to Beat, the main story for Red Dead Redemption 2 is 48 hours on average.
Could you check Cyberpunk 2077, please? Not just out of curiosity. But anyway, it's
19 and a half.
Oh my god, so short. What's wrong with 19 and a half? What's wrong with people? What's wrong with people? You know what I mean?
It's mad. Yeah, like it's an old way of judging games, I think. Like the how long it is and how much content there is. Doesn't matter if that content's shite, does it? Like
Exactly.
But 5 hours of brilliance is
as
as good as 20 hours of okay.
As Titanfall 2 will attest.
Yes.
But what I would say though about this game is I didn't finish it, and it's on my top 10. So there's 2 games on my top 10 I didn't finish. Sekiro being the other one. Got to the final boss. Didn't finish, but I played enough of it to know how good it was. And when I played it again recently on PC, and I started looking at the vistas again and the sunsets and everything, and I'm like, play the game. This game looks gorgeous still.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's just great. On the skin in the animals, I'm with you. Not so much because I'm vegan and all of that. It's more like show me the first time, and after that, just speed up the process. It's a video game. It's a video game, right? So that's more that. For me, more is my time is precious. on that. And time, we are running, so I don't think there's any more
Yeah,
time for anymore.
you're going to let me talk about my number one, though, aren't you?
I was pretending I was gonna forget because it's funny. Yes, we can
Bruno.
squeeze in. We can squeeze in another couple of minutes where we talk quickly about Thumper.
Yeah, so my number one for people that have listened to the podcast throughout the last few years, probably no surprise that it's Thumper. I think that's probably the game that I've spoken to about the most and that I've come back to the most. So, I mean, this was 2016, and I definitely played it earlier this year. I'm still picking up that game and still playing it. It just there's something about it. Again, it's not a long game, but it's one of those games where you can you just get better at it, and there's no leveling up. There's no special items to buy. In fact, this is the brilliance of the game. It's basically just one button and the directional controls. You don't need anything else than that, and then you just get better and better at it as you play it more and more. And yeah, for me it's just phenomenal. I absolutely love it, and because of that simplicity, I can put that down for a couple of years, come back to it, and still be at a pretty reasonable level of playing that game because it's so simple, so anyone can play it. But then, like, I mean, I've put a lot of hours into it. I've gone through and I've done the platinum trophy on it, so I've sort of S ranked all of the levels, and then I'm still playing it, still going through on the new game plus mode. I think I probably reached the top of my ability level now because it's been a long time since I've actually got any further. But it, I just love it. I absolutely love this game. I wish more people loved it and talked about it. It's just so good. It's like a perfect game based on gameplay alone. It's just they've got it just absolutely spot on.
Yeah. And my one question on it, and I know Ben was a fan as well, even though he gave us the top 3, which didn't include it. But my question is, VR or no VR? What's the best way
VR.
to VR? Okay. So
VR, absolutely. I think that's the way. Yeah, if you can, VR is the best way to play that game.
Okay.
Is it worth playing it if you haven't got VR?
If you haven't got VR, I would still play it, and in fact, it's on Game
Okay.
Pass.
Yeah.
So give it. I'm not sure it's going to be your sort of thing, Adam.
Mm.
But it's on Game Pass, so try it. And if it's not your
Yeah,
sort of thing,
absolutely.
you won't be lost.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So that's been our top 10. Ben wasn't able to be here today. His top 3 he gave us was Elder Scrolls Legends, Oxygen not included in number 2, and the aforementioned Witcher 3 in one position.
Yeah.
And Pot that saved the podcast today by telling us there's no audio. Saved or definitely saved. I was gonna say that definitely saved. That's why the reason you can listen to this half a podcast maybe after I maybe able to edit it. He's got a top 6. There you go, top 6. Of course, yeah, we did a top 6. That's why I'm doing a top 6. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, top 6.
And I'm on the fly gonna grant him. I'm gonna grant him Adam right privileges, and I'm gonna allow him to do in number 6 Halo 2, number 5 Wreckfest. Didn't come. No, Wreckfest came out in this generation actually. To be fair, and Halo 2 came out in the Master Chief's Collection. Maybe actually, I don't need to. I think it's fine. Actually. Thief in number 4. I haven't played that. I'm assuming they're talking about the reboot of it.
Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah.
Rocket League in number 3.
Skip number 3. Yeah, move on.
Rocket League.
Boneworks
in number 2, which is a game I want to try in VR.
Yes, I'm really interested in that. It's supposed to be excellent, but I've not got. I'm waiting for it at a decent price.
And Half-Life Alyx. What's more to say? That's a fantastic game for them. So that's an actual decent list there from Pot. So yeah, fair play to him. So that's been us. Podcast has been long. It doesn't feel long. It won't feel long to you because it will only be half a podcast by the time I'm done with it. But I'm tired. I'm done. The next podcast will be our Game of the Year podcast, where myself and Marius will be talking about the games we played this year, and then Adam will be talking about the games he's also played this year.
Whatever,
But-
whatever he
but-
likes.
but maybe those games had not come out this year. That'll be the only difference on that one. And maybe we'll have Ben. We'll see. And what we want to do is, if you look at this light now, we're gonna do the Men in Black light. We're gonna forget the games we did, so that you forget some of the games we have here, because they may make another appearance on the Game of the Year. So look into the light. I'm gonna flash you guys now. Done. Okay, that's it. Okay.
Good.
That's it. I've been Bruno Pinto.
That's it. Let's go. I'm already late.
I'm
I've got to
super
go.
late as well. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for
It's been a
listening.
pleasure. Bye.
Thanks, Pot. Okay, bye.